Wanting her isn't enough. You have to make her want you before she washes her face, before she checks the weather, before the world floods her eyes. Because if you don't do it, someone else will. And it won't be with flowers. It'll be with words, with messages, the kind of text she never forgets, that she saves, that she secretly reads twice while smiling to herself. Today, I'm going to show you how to spark that fire from the very first second of the day, how to turn a simple good morning into an emotional bomb. But be warned, the last line I'm about to reveal, it's not for the faint of heart, because it doesn't just turn her on, it leaves a mark. I'm Celia, and this is your House of Wisdom. Stick around until the end, because if a woman ever stopped thinking about you, after this video, she won't be able to get you out of her head. Have you ever wondered how many mornings she quietly ignores you while you sweetly wish her a good day? How many times she's read your message, smiled politely, and then gone back to sleep without thinking about you? The average man doesn't realize that the way he greets her makes him invisible, because instead of standing out, he just repeats what thousands of others do. And that's the mistake you're making every single morning. It's what makes you disappear to her. You're at the first key point of this video, and I want you to understand it clearly. If the first thing a woman feels upon waking is monotony, you've already lost. Because a woman doesn't live off certainty, she lives off emotional stimulation, off surprise, off that tiny but powerful feeling of, what did he mean by this? But without realizing it, you're giving her security when she's craving chaos. You're giving her sweetness when she needs tension. You're giving her calm when her desire needs movement. And all of that in just one message, that good morning, my love, that sounds more like a big brother than a man who turns her on. Picture this. She wakes up with her phone in hand, her eyelids still heavy, her body warm, her mind blank. The first stimulus of the day is what sets the tone for her energy. If the first thing she sees is your message, and it doesn't trigger an emotion, a fantasy, an inner tension, then that day you don't exist, not as a man, not as a desire, just as a functional presence, like a wallpaper you see, but don't feel. Because when a woman feels nothing, she starts looking elsewhere. And here comes the metaphor no one taught you. A flat message is like coffee without aroma. It's there, it works, but it doesn't wake you up, it doesn't shake you, it doesn't spark anything beyond habit. On the other hand, a message full of symbolism, ambiguity, and tension is like that first sip of coffee when it's still dark and cold outside, the one that awakens the senses, the one that sets the pace for the day, the one that leaves a mark. So if you thought being consistent, caring, and sweet in the morning was the right way to make her fall for you, let me tell you something with all the bluntness you deserve. That doesn't make her fall. That makes her comfortable. That puts her at ease. But desire doesn't feed on ease. It feeds on impact. And if you don't learn how to trigger it with your very first message, you'll keep being seen as the nice guy, the one no one wants to crave in the morning. If you've already realized that your flat morning messages make you invisible, now you need to understand what kind of message makes you unforgettable. Because it's not about saying more, it's about saying the right things. And this is where most men get it wrong. They think turning a woman on means being explicit, vulgar, crude. No, that turns her off, pushes her away, puts her on the defensive. A real woman, the kind who still holds hidden desire, doesn't want you to tell her what you'll do to her. She wants you to make her imagine it. And to do that, you need to know how to speak to her subconscious. We've reached the second key point of this video, and it's the message that turns her on down there without her even realizing it. And when I say without realizing it, I'm not being poetic. I mean it literally. Because female desire isn't a conscious reaction. It's a symbolic response. A woman doesn't get aroused because she understands something. She gets aroused because something in her body lit up before her mind could explain it. That's why the best messages aren't the ones that describe. They're the ones that suggest. That open inner doors without forcing them. That give her fantasy something to play with in silence. From a practical psychology perspective, there's a clear explanation. Female desire is tied to mystery, not transparency. The man who reveals everything loses power. the one who leaves gaps, who leaves silences, who drops an ambiguous phrase loaded with intention. He's the one who controls her without touching her. A powerful example: don't say, "I want you." Everyone says that. Say, "Your voice is still on my neck." Say that at 6 in the morning, and she'll pause. She'll close her eyes. She'll feel like you're not just another guy. You're the one who leaves traces in places no one sees. Stoicism taught us something that takes on a new meaning here. It's not about controlling others, but about controlling the impression you leave behind. And when it comes to desire, that impression is everything. It's not about what you did last night. It's about what you trigger when you remind her without spelling it out. That's the difference between an emotionally clumsy man and one who understands the power of his words. One message can either turn her on or shut her down. It can make you the man she replies to instantly, or just another name in the read, no reply pile. And if you don't know how to speak to her body through her mind, then you'll keep being the right guy, but never the one who makes her bite her lip when she sees your name on the screen. Because yes, my friend, it's not dirty words that turn her on. It's symbols she can't explain, but can't stop feeling. By now, you know you can't text her like everyone else, that a predictable good morning keeps you in the shadows, and that the key isn't being direct, but sparking her imagination. But none of that matters if she doesn't see you as rare, desired, irreplaceable, because you can send her 1,000 perfect lines and still be ignored if you make the mistake of always being available. This next step is crucial. Without it, you'll stay stuck in the same place. We've reached the third key point of this video, and this is where everything starts to shift. How to use reverse psychology to make her chase you. Do you know why women obsess over men who don't seem to try? Because those men have mastered an art you've forgotten, the art of pulling back at just the right moment, not to punish, not to play games, to create contrast. Desire isn't fueled by intense words alone. It feeds on intentional silence, emotional space, measured absence. Because when you're always there, she has no room to want you, no mystery, no question, no hunger. The strategy is simple but powerful, alternate. One day you send that message full of tension, ambiguity, subtle provocation. The next day, nothing, not even an emoji. No, hey. No, how'd you sleep? Because that silence forces her to feel something no one wants to admit, that your absence weighs more than other people's presence, that the gap is also a turn-on. And you know what happens next? She comes back. She texts you something neutral just to see if you're still thinking about her, but you already know what you're doing. You don't reply right away, because you're not begging for attention, you're provoking desire. This works because female desire isn't linear. It swings. It rises and falls, lights up and cools down, depending on emotional tension. And if you're always there, steady, sweet, predictable, she doesn't feel movement. She doesn't feel the rush she needs to trigger her fantasy. But when you break the pattern, when you stop acting like the obedient guy and start acting like a man with his own life, her mind starts spinning. Is he mad? Is he with someone else? Did he stop caring? Those questions don't upset her, they activate her. Let me give you a concrete example. On a Monday you send, "I dreamed about you, but it wasn't sweet." That's it. Nothing else. No follow-up. No context. Just drop the bomb and vanish. What do you think her mind will do with that? I'll tell you. Run wild. Picture it. Reread it. And the worst, or the best part, depending on your perspective, is this. She'll start wanting you to come back just to finish the thought. That's how obsession starts. Not from affection, from measured absence. Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe if you've ever felt your messages were ignored for no reason. Drop a comment with the country you're watching from and type just 3 words. My word is wisdom. There are still 3 more lessons that can transform the way you connect with a woman. And the last one, if you use it, could turn you into the man no woman dares to forget. If you've understood the power of pulling away right after provoking her, then you've taken another step toward emotional mastery. But be careful. This is where a lot of men mess up. They think that just disappearing for a day is enough to make an impact. It's not. If your message was weak, your silence means nothing. The key is making sure that every word you leave behind before the silence keeps vibrating in her mind. And for that, you need to know how to turn the ordinary into fantasy. Now we're at the fourth key point of this video, the line that turns her boring routine into a fantasy with you. One of the biggest mistakes smart men make when trying to seduce is this. They think they have to talk only about sex, deep emotions, or meaningful topics, and they forget that desire slips into the simplest spaces, into the everyday, the mundane. If a woman wakes up thinking she's just going to clean, work, cook, and go to bed, and you show up as a switch in that pattern, you break through. You pull her out of autopilot, you force her to see you differently. But if you blend into that same routine, you become part of her exhaustion. This mistake is dangerous because it works in silence. You think you're making progress, building something, connecting, but in reality, you're being filed away, categorized as background noise. And a man who can't interrupt her daily logic will never be desired. He'll just be useful. He'll get replies, but he won't be imagined. He won't be secretly wanted while she's in the shower, while she's cooking, while she's driving. Because female desire isn't spontaneous. It's triggered. And if you're not the one triggering it, you disappear from her system. So, how do you do it? How do you interrupt without forcing it? By using imagery, lines that paint a picture in her mind without telling her everything. Don't say, "You look beautiful today." Anyone can say that. Say, "I don't know if you're dressed yet, but if you are, you're wasting your time." That line, sent at 8 in the morning, flips a switch, because you're not just saying she looks good, you're saying you imagined her. You visualized her before she even looked in the mirror. You're telling her without saying it that her body was already in your head before she even stepped into it herself. And that creates fantasy, because you're not describing what you see, you're activating what she can feel. You're turning routine into symbolic erotica. You're taking her hand without touching her and leading her to a space where only the two of you exist. And when you do that, when she feels that she can break from the script with you, that she can allow herself to feel desire in the middle of the grayest day, then you become her escape, her secret, that thought that lights her up when nothing else does. Don't be functional, don't be proper, be the man who turns her Monday into a mental Tuesday, the one who sees her without being there, the one who shows up without pushing. Because if you can do that, she won't wait for your message, she'll crave it. And that difference, even if it's invisible, is what decides whether you end up in her bed or just on her list of guys who never got it. If you've already broken her routine and planted a fantasy in her mind, you're one step ahead. But if you don't understand this fifth point, everything you've built will collapse. Because sparking desire is one thing, sustaining it is another. And only the man who knows how to plant the idea that he's her secret escape, not her partner, not her logical choice, can keep that fire alive. Her secret, her thrill, her emotional release. The big mistake, wanting to be her everything, her partner, her confidant, her therapist, her life plan, that kills desire. It smothers it. It turns you into something useful, because a woman desires what she can't control, what she can't schedule or explain to anyone else. And when you try to earn her love with logic, when you want her to admire you for being good, patient, reasonable, you're signing your own death sentence. Yes, she might respect you for it, but she won't crave you. Female desire isn't born from balance. It's born from emotional risk, from the fire she can't explain but needs to feel. The price of making this mistake is high, because you don't just lose her desire, you lose yourself, you become dependent. You start adjusting how you text, how you talk, how you act, just to please her, just to avoid making her uncomfortable. And right there, right at that moment, you're done. Because when a woman senses that you're living to avoid rejection, she loses all respect for you. She might still text you, she might still smile at you, but only because you serve as emotional support, not as a man, not as an escape, not as a desire. The way out isn't becoming cold, it's becoming symbolically dangerous. And that starts with your mindset. You're not here to be chosen, you're here to be remembered, to be the one she thinks about when she's having a rough day, the man who never explained himself, but left her body and mind in pieces. To be the one she'd run back to for one night, if she ever allowed herself to let go. Because you're not competing with her husband, her boyfriend, or her routine. You're competing with her shadow, with the version of her she pretends doesn't exist, but that you awaken without asking permission. That only happens through presence, not physical presence, energetic. The man who sends one message a day, but fills it with intention, ambiguity, and emotional tension, is worth more than the one who sends 20 sweet, safe texts, because the first leaves a mark, the second just takes up space. And if you're still stuck in the mindset of, I want her to choose me, then you're not ready. Because the woman who truly desires doesn't choose with her mind. She chooses with her body, with her emotional emptiness. From that place, only you can access, if you become her escape, not her plan, not her stability, her release, her contradiction, her guilty pleasure. Struggling to see yourself that way? Then keep being the good guy, the one who understands, the one who waits, the one who never causes trouble. And get ready to watch her crave someone else, while you're still asking if she's okay. Because she doesn't need an emotional companion, she needs an erotic refuge. And if you don't step into that role, you'll stay useful, but never unforgettable. If you've come to understand that you're not here to be her life plan, but her secret escape, then you've already broken free from the most dangerous illusion, wanting to be approved. But now comes the final test. Because it's not enough to create tension or to disappear at the right time. You have to leave something inside her, something she can't erase, something that lingers in her body even if she deletes the message. This is the sixth and final point of this video, and it's the message, short, brutal, and able to leave her wet without touching her. Picture it for a moment. She wakes up, still half asleep, reaches for her phone. Not many messages, just yours. She opens it, reads it, and suddenly, without knowing why, her heart starts beating faster. She stares at the screen, doesn't reply right away, reads it again, bites her lip. Why did that happen? What is it about that line that made her tense, wet, wide awake? It's simple. That line wasn't romantic. It was symbolic. It was direct, but not vulgar. It was an emotional trigger. Let me say it again so it sinks in. What turns a woman on isn't what's explicit. It's what makes her imagine being taken by a man who doesn't need to beg, who doesn't need to be sweet, who doesn't need her approval. Lines like, I don't want you to talk to me today. Just remember how your legs were shaking. Don't get forgotten. They don't get answered with emojis. They get felt. They stay. And most importantly, they put her in a place. The one who was marked, not the one in control. See the difference? You're not telling her you love her. You're not saying you miss her. You're saying she's already been in your hands, that you've already had her, that you've already made her tremble. And now, she's the one who has to remember. That message places her in a mental space where you're not begging, you're reminding, you're not asking, you're provoking. And that, to the female subconscious, is irresistible. Of course, not just anyone can pull this off. Because to send a line like that, you have to be whole. Your energy has to be grounded, your self-worth solid, your life full. A hollow man sending that kind of message doesn't create desire. He creates rejection. Only when you no longer depend on her reply can you drop a line like this and make her shake inside. Because you're not trying to seduce her. You're reminding her that you already did. Now think, how many times have you sent a message that made her smile, but never made her ache? How many times did you think you were connecting, when really you were just entertaining her boredom? And here's the harsh truth. How many times did she read your words with the same face she uses to read her grocery list? This sixth message doesn't get read like that. It gets read with crossed legs, with tight lips, with a restless soul. And if you're not ready to become that kind of man, then go ahead and keep sending flowers. Keep writing, sleep well, princess. And get ready to be read, forgotten, and replaced by the man who knew how to leave her soaked with just one line. If you've made it this far, you're not like the rest. Most people check out the moment the message becomes uncomfortable, when there are no sweet lines or empty promises. But you stayed. You listened to every word. And that says something about you. You're ready to look at your reality with new eyes. You can't go back to texting her the same way. You can't go back to being the man who thinks being sweet is enough. Because now, you know what truly excites her, what really makes her think, tremble, and crave, and that changes everything. This video wasn't a seduction manual, it was a mirror. A soft but firm hit to that part of you that's still okay with being read, but not desired. And now it's your choice. Keep sending digital flowers that don't spark anything, or become the man who plants himself in a woman's mind without asking permission. If you've chosen the second path, comment below. I am wisdom and power. And tell me where in the world you're watching from, because no matter the culture, female psychology operates silently, but always by the same rules. I'm Celia, woman, psychologist, therapist, and this is your House of Wisdom, a space for men who no longer want comfort but clarity, who no longer want to be liked if they're not also desired. We're not here to heal gently, we're here to wake you up, brutally. And if this video made you think differently, then hit subscribe, because this community isn't for everyone. It's for those who've decided to stop being invisible. Share this video with that one friend who still thinks being romantic is enough. It might just save his respect, or his dignity. And don't leave just yet. 2 videos are about to pop up on the screen. Choose the one that makes you the most uncomfortable. Because right there, in what's hardest to face, is exactly what you need to hear. I'll see you there. Because this is just the beginning.